Now, you'll be well aware the health advocacy group, the African Alliance, has filed a formal complaint with the Judicial Services Commission against the Chief Justice Mogoeng Mogoeng following his remarks about COVID-19 vaccines. If you don't remember, well, while leading a prayer service at the Tembisa Hospital last month here in Gauteng, the Chief Justice asked God to destroy any vaccine containing what he called the 666, which Christians believe to be the mark of the devil. The JSC has referred the complaint to the Judicial Conduct Committee. So where to from here? Lawson Naidoo from the Council for the Advancement of the Constitution is no doubt following this very carefully. Lawson, good afternoon to you. The Judicial Conduct Committee, very quickly, what is its remit?
Good afternoon, Jeremy. Thank you very much. When a complaint is lodged with the Judicial Service Commission, the matter is initially referred to the Judicial Conduct Committee to conduct an examination of the complaint to determine whether it should be taken further or whether it should be dismissed. And that committee is normally chaired by the Deputy Chief Justice and consists of a number of other judges as well. And so they will conduct a preliminary assessment of the complaint and determine whether the matter is serious enough to warrant it being referred or asking the Judicial Service Commission to refer it for a full tribunal hearing. I would believe that in the case of this particular example, it's not such a matter that would constitute gross misconduct on the part of the Chief Justice, and it's therefore a matter that is likely to be investigated in full by the committee itself.
So what exactly are they weighing up when they're looking at how serious the complaint is?
Well, the first port of call is the Judicial Code of Conduct to determine whether the complaint falls within the Judicial Code of Conduct, whether the Chief Justice has transgressed those rules that are contained in the Code of Conduct. And, I think in the context of the pandemic and the need for a vaccine or for an effective vaccine, as well as the fact that there is a very high level of skepticism amongst South Africans, amongst the highest in the world, about people being very skeptical about taking the virus, taking the vaccine to combat the virus, and therefore, one would argue that the remarks of the Chief Justice were highly irresponsible in that regard. He would, of course, argue that this is his right to freedom of expression. But, with all rights come responsibilities, and as the most senior judicial officer in the country, he surely has a responsibility to ensure that proper information is being put out to members of the public, that he does not become involved in peddling fake news, and that we have credible institutions in South Africa, such as the South African Health Products Regulatory Authority, to determine the effectiveness of all vaccines and drugs that are distributed in the Republic. So we need to rely on those institutions and the professionals that serve within them.
If this goes to the tribunal, what kind of sanction does he face?
Well, ultimately, if it goes to the tribunal and the Judicial Conduct Committee is of the belief that if the allegations are proven that they would constitute gross misconduct, it could ultimately, potentially lead to the impeachment of the Chief Justice and his removal from office. Although, as I say, I think in the circumstances of this case, that is quite an unlikely scenario.
The Chief Justice publicly, Lawson Naidoo, is seemingly unrepentant post-fact. He's essentially saying, as far as this hearing is concerned, bring it on. Does that count against him as the committee looks at this?
Well, again, I think it calls into questions, the judgment of the Chief Justice in circumstances like this. And we've had other examples recently where other complaints have been laid with the Judicial Service Commission about remarks that have been made by the Chief Justice in relation to Palestine, for example. And these are unfortunate because the Chief Justice, appears to be saying that he is above the law, that, his right to freedom of expression is untrammeled and not constrained by the status of the office and that he holds, that his role as the most senior judge in the country, that he has responsibilities in order to be very careful in his public comments, and it's generally, if one looks at the Judicial Code of Conduct, it certainly makes reference to that in a number of places, that there's a responsibility on judges to behave in a manner that is consistent with the office that they hold.
Do you think this is going to be a very protracted process?
Well, we know from experience, unfortunately, Jeremy, that complaints that go to the JSC take an inordinately long time to get resolved. And we also know that the Chief Justice has, 9 or 10 months left of his office. He retires in October this year, I believe. So it really, I think it's incumbent upon the JSC to try and resolve this matter as quickly as possible, so that the Chief Justice, when he leaves office, does not leave with a cloud hanging over him.
Lawson Naidoo, thank you very much indeed, from the Council for the Advancement of the Constitution.